Today we're going to look at writing algebraic expressions. I can write algebraic expressions. Let's look at some jokes. What do sprinters eat before a race? Nothing, they fast. Why did the Scarecrow win an award? He was outstanding in his field. It's time for our daily review. All right, number one. Go ahead and solve it, and then see if you get the same thing as me. Okay, so 8/10 is the same thing as 8/10 times 8/10. 8/10 times 8/10, 64 hundredths. So our answer for number one is 64 hundredths. Make sure you get that in your notebook. Okay, number two. 5 to the minus 1. 5 to the minus 1. Well, 5 to the minus 1 is actually 1 over 5. Number 3. Simplify the following. 2 over 5 squared. Well, just like this question, anything squared is that thing twice multiplied. So we have 2/5 times 2/5. And when we multiply these, we multiply the numerators to get 4 over 25. So our answer then is 4 over 25. Before we continue today, let's review some vocabulary. Algebraic expression. Numbers, symbols, and operators, such as pluses and multiplying, grouped together that show the value of something. A variable is a symbol for a number we don't know yet. It is usually like X or Y. And a constant, which is basically numbers without any letters. Now you should have this handout, and you need to glue this into your notebook. Today we're going to look at these math into words papers to help us out and to solve some questions. So here we go. Number one, the quotient of 8 and n. Quotient means division, if you didn't know that, so you can reference your sheet. So we want to write that into math, so that would be 8 over n. So our answer then is 8 over n, and that is our expression. Number two, the product of p and 4. So again, I go back to my sheet here, and I see product, which means multiply. So going back here, I want to write my answer as 4p. 4p. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. K less than 24. So I go back to my sheet here. I see less than is a turnaround word. So what does that mean? So I go here, and I'm going to write this just as I see it. So I have K minus 24. But since it says than, I have to switch it around. 24 minus K. So then my answer then is 24 minus K. Now, we are going to switch it up a little bit, and we are going to do some words or some expressions and turn those into words. So write a phrase for each algebraic expression. Okay, first one, we have m plus 3, m plus 3. Well, I could just do really easily and say m plus 3, or I can reference my sheet over here. And I can see that I could say maybe the sum could be an option. So I could say then sum of m and 3. Number 5, 42s. Well, if I remember from my previous example what my product looked like for p, so I can use product in my answer if I'd like, or I could go back here and I can use one of these options here. So I'm going to stick, though, I think I'm going to stick with product. So I have here the product of 42 and s. Number 6, we have 5 minus k. Okay, well, there's lots of different options I can do for this, but I think I'm going to stick with the than method here, and I'm going to say that I have k less than 5. And again, options and answers will vary for this. These are just a few. Some boxes of water bottles for a picnic. Each box contained 24 bottles of water. If B is the number of boxes, write an expression to show how many bottles of water James bought. So if we have 24 bottles of water and we're looking to see how many bottles he bought, our answer then for our expression would just be 24b. And if you think about it, it makes sense, because if you had one box, okay, you would do 24 times 1. That's 24. If you have, we're looking for the bottles of water. If we have 24, okay, there we go. We have 2 boxes and we have 48. So that makes sense. If we had 24 plus b, well, and if we had like 1 box, well, that's going to equal 25, and that doesn't really make sense. Okay, so you can do a little bit of trial and error there to check if your answer is right. Mac and Mr. Cushing work at Read On Bookstore and get paid the same hourly wage. The table shows their work schedule for last week. Write an expression that represents Miss Mac's total pay last week and represent her hourly wage with W. Do not simplify. So let's start with that question. Okay, so let's create an expression for Miss Mac's hourly pay. So her first day, she worked on Monday, she worked 5W. And then the second day, she worked 3W. So then the expression would be 5W plus 3W. Now let's write an expression that represents Mr. Cushing's total pay and represent his hourly wage with a W. So Wednesday, he worked 8W. The question is, are the expressions in the last example equivalent? So we have here 5W plus 3W to represent Miss Mac's hourly work wages. So if we take 5W and we add that to 3W, that's going to give us 8W. Mr. Cushing's, this is Miss Mac's, Mr. Cushing's hourly wages was just 8W. Well, these are like terms. They are the same. So they are in fact equivalent expressions. You learned how to write algebraic expressions. Thanks for tuning in.